This poem's called Invisible Kisses. If there was ever one whom, when you are sleeping, who would wipe your tears when in dreams you were weeping, who would offer you time when others demand, whose love lay more infinite than grains of sand, if there was ever one to whom you could cry, who would gather each tear and blow it dry, who would offer help on the mountains of time, and who would stop to let each sunset soothe your shades of mind. If there was ever one to whom, when you run, who will push back the clouds so that you're bathed in sun, who would open arms if you would fall, who would show you everything if you lost it all. If there was ever one who, when you achieve, was there before the dream and even then believed, who would clear the air when it's full of loss, count love.
Welcome, Lemn Sissay.
It's an honor to be here, Amayu.
Thank you. That means a lot because a lot of people mispronounce my name. But I would like to welcome you again to Ethiopia. How many times did you come?
How many times?
Yeah.
First time I came, I was 29 years of age, and that was a certain amount of years ago. I don't know, I've lost count, and I think that it's probably a good thing to lose count as to the amount of times that you've returned again and again.
Yeah.
So, I feel very at ease here. I think I've come here enough times to feel at home.
I've heard you say you belong in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
You do belong, and we want you to belong because we missed you. Even though we didn't know you existed way back when you came. We claimed all that years from you.
Yeah, I have received so much love here that I only associate Ethiopia with acceptance, with gratitude from me, and love.
On one writing, I saw that you were told that Africa were a place that poor people lived in, growing up as a small child. And when you come to found Africa and your roots in Ethiopia, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, growing up in England, there is a particular view of Africa, a general view that that it is poor and that it is equally poor of spirit. And it is rich, and it is rich in spirit. This is the discovery that I make as an adult. And I think, wow, they must have been coming here for years and realizing how rich Africa actually is. Then they steal those riches and then they go home to talk about how poor Africa is. So none of it makes sense. And it's all in the past.
That is true.
So I've been fortunate enough essentially as a diaspora, but fortunate enough to realize and find the absolute beauty of, firstly, of Ethiopia in me and Ethiopia outside of me, and then of Africa and the wider diaspora, So I feel lucky.
So I know that you met your mom after so many years and you discovered her, and I want to know how that moment felt like.
So I was 21 when I found my mother, when I met my mother for the first time, 21 years of age. She was 21 when she gave birth to me, so it must have been strange for her. When I met her, I realized it's difficult for her. She is the person who lost a child. I was stolen from her. So it must be difficult for her to have this grown man come back and stand in front of her and say, you're my mother, because she'd suffered so much pain. So it was complicated, our cultures, our stories are complicated. the idea that we can let love in, that's, I think, how to heal, possibly, you know. So we are in a constant state of healing.
Yeah. And what about the time that you found out your name was not Norman and it's Lemn?
That's a very good question. I was 15 years of age and I was in the children's homes in England. Look, a lot of people think, oh, you went to England, you were brought up in England, that must be great. You know, it must be wonderful for you. You know, really, you're telling these stories, but it must have been great. I had my mother stolen from me. My father, my sisters, my brothers, my aunts and my uncles, I did not know who they were. I didn't meet a person of colour until I was 9 years of age. I didn't know a person of colour until I was 16 years of age. I was put into children's homes at 12 and I did not have a Christmas with a family member from that day. Okay, from the age of 12 onwards. Nobody calls me on my birthday. I had no mother, no father, no sisters, no brothers, no aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no Easters, no Christmases, no birthdays, nobody to be there for me when I'm ill, nobody to wait for me when I come back from a travels from anywhere, nobody to say goodbye to me, nobody to miss me, nobody to say, where have you been? Nobody to remember what I was like as a child. Okay, so that's what happened to me in England. So if you think that's a great thing, then you do that to your child. You have that done to you, and then tell me how great it is. You may look at me now and I'm, you know, a poet and a writer, and I always have been a writer, and I travel the world and I know people, and I am happy in myself. But being happy in myself, it has nothing to do with being a doctor, which I am, or being a published writer. I know that happiness and peace is something that's in ourselves more than anything that you can have or collect. And I know that family is very important. And I know that families cause pain as well. I know that. But that's part of the story of family. And I know that because I never had it. And what I'm saying to you is, I would not wish on my worst enemy for them to experience what I experienced as a child. So I just wanted to share that with you because it's very easy to see me and think, oh, I want what he's got. But I am lucky because I've found what I love.
One question that I kept on asking myself was, do you think that writing really healed you in a sense? Because you're telling me all this and I'm already in, in agony. But then right after, I see that you're happy. I see that you've healed. I see that you're triumphed. And do you think writing, poetry, has done that for you?
Yeah, I have a poem, a 4-line poem. Look what was sown by the stars at night across the fields. I am not defined by my scars, but by the incredible ability to heal.
Amazing.
You know, so I'm in the process of healing, and I think we all are in many ways.
It's true.
So I choose to see the healing more than the scar. And yes, writing helps. Writing is a way of being able to find images which can kind of give voice to the indescribable.
I've heard a lot of your poems and invisible kisses. Always before even the punchline comes, the invisible kisses, like the exact phrase comes in. All of it, I picture it and everything. How did that come to be, invisible kisses? Because
oh wow, it's a great question.
I would love to know because I don't know. It's very profound. The words.
The poem is read at weddings all over the world.
Yeah.
And but it actually came from a separation. Sometimes sadness will make you turn to poetry. But you know when you're a writer, when also happiness makes you turn to poetry. Okay, that's really important.
Yeah.
Because anyway, I had a separation in a relationship, and she returned to her home country, and she was never coming back. And I was young and and I I wrote Invisible Kisses about that. And it was about the value of love regarding the value of things. So, invisible kisses, there's nothing. They're invisible kisses.
They're invisible. It's true.
But they're the most valuable. And it's amazing that I speak of this invisibility, but it has such solid meaning for so many, including me.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy that it's recited in weddings when you wrote it in that state? But that's what art is. I think that's what poetry is. It's like you define it in your own. So I would like to talk about, when you were young, you said you discovered that you were black. And then you grew up in that structure where you couldn't find anyone. Tell me about that.
Before I knew I was Ethiopian, I defined myself with the other people around me, mainly Caribbeans in the north of England, as black. And let me tell you, it was the Caribbean community who told me what Ethiopia was.
It's amazing.
Yeah, through Bob Marley. I used to listen to Bob Marley music and see the flag of Ethiopia and the old Battle of Adwa that's on the front of the album Confrontation, with the flags and the horses. My first Ethiopic experience of Ethiopian art was via a Bob Marley album, and the text in Exodus, the album cover, Amharic text, they're using that kind of style when they call it Exodus. I learned about this man, the Emperor Haile Selassie, this figure in Ethiopia. Now, I wasn't religious, I wasn't going to believe in Rastafarianism, but I grew my dreadlocks. Okay, I grew my dreadlocks. And then I was told that I was Ethiopian when I was 16 years of age, 15, 16. I was Ethiopian. I had an idea that I was Ethiopian even before that, and I got my name, Lemn.
Yeah.
I thought my name was Norman, an English name, Norman Greenwood. So remember, I didn't know I was Ethiopian.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was 12, 13 years of age, tattoo in my name, Norman Greenwood, in my hand. What I thought was my name, it wasn't. But look at this, 13 years of age, tattooing myself in the children's home. It's what we did, it's self-harm really.
Yeah.
Ink and like this, da-da-da-da-da. Remember, I didn't know I was Ethiopian. Let me show you. Can you see the cross?
Yeah, I do.
A cross.
I can see it, yeah.
There and there.
Yeah.
So I tattoo into my hand a cross when I don't know I'm Ethiopian.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, this is actually amazing. And even I knew you were pronouncing your name as Lemn.
So I found my name when I was 15, and I thought it was Lemn Sissay. I thought, it's spelled Lemn, but I first came to Ethiopia 29. I found I've got my mother's letter from when I was 1 year of age. So it's Lemn. That's the name. But I only knew what that meant when I came here when I was 29. 29 years of age.
Wow. I'm glad you did, even at 29, to be honest, because there are stories, I think, as you're saying, you are finding healing in this process of writing poetry and discovering your family, discovering what you love, finding what you love and everything. And there are people, I believe, that are being inspired by you, because we hear this kind of stories that they were again taken away from Ethiopia.
There's many children who've been taken away from Ethiopia, and examples are, one of the first examples is Prince Alamayu, who was taken by Captain Speedy at the Battle of Magdala from the Queen Terone. She died on the journey to the boat, supposedly. Okay. This child, Prince Alamayu, was taken to India first, and then to Malta, and then to England. Remember that, when we look back to the past, it's only a few grandfathers back. It's within, it's not within living memory, but so the history of young people being taken from this country and adopted is long. I've got to say that there are some good adoptions.
Yeah, that's true.
This is very important because, I know people who've adopted from Ethiopian children who are Ethiopian themselves, and some who are not.
Yeah.
But those children have grown into wonderful adults, and to be honest, you're not guaranteed to grow into a wonderful adult just because you've got parents.
That's true.
Right?
That's
so
true. That's
so adoption is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But there has been a lot of horror stories from adoptive parents who've left the children. But I think that our government is aware of this and so has actually curtailed some of the bad practices that have been going on. So we come back with open hearts.
Yeah.
And we come back hopefully knowing that we need to learn from you. Yeah. Not that we need to tell you anything. And that this will then allow us to make mistakes. But to lose the arrogance that can come with being from abroad. And that arrogance is a very dangerous thing. It needs to be stopped in people. But the thing is, we just need to listen and learn.
Yeah.
And then give back as well.
Even I heard you say that you forgave the social worker, like, you know. Yeah. So I want to talk about the book, My Name is Why.
Yes.
There are places, statement you say, I just found that out.
Yeah, I wrote My Name is Why after receiving the files which documented the first 18 years of my life. So, once I had those documents, I could begin to write the book.
You put even documents in the book.
Yeah. The documents that were written about me as a child, I placed them into the book, and then I spoke about them, about what was the truth at the time. And I put them in there because I wanted you to see what they did to me. Okay? In their own words. Okay? I wanted people to see that this is what the system did to me. Because I can talk about it all I want to, but actually to see it in their words, that's as powerful as it gets, really. So
I can't imagine how it must be for you, and like that book is very eye-opening to a lot of people.
Honestly, I don't know how this has happened, okay? That somebody who has so little could gain so much love. But I know it was meant to be. And my name is Why.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm a poet.
It's beautiful.
I was already a poet when I found out, what my name was. It's incredible.
It is truly. Last question, I might say, because you're a poet and we have a very rich history in Ethiopia.
Yes, you do.
With poetry, writing, artists, like a lot of them.
You have, my friend Misrak, she runs events at the Ras Hotel here.
Okay.
Every month, 2,000 people come. Every month, okay? She sells half the tickets, half of the year before half of the tickets are sold for the year, okay, before it starts. You have Fendika, which has now become famous around the world. You have Bilketu Sayum. He's just an exemplary poet of any culture, in anywhere in the world. He is a modern scribe of great stature. You have, I had last night an actor, but also a poet called Tesfahun Kabede. Tesfahun? Yeah. He read a poem of mine, which he has translated into Amharic, which slays. People in, last night he read it and people were like, oh my God. You have so many great artists and great activists. Mulatu Astatke obviously is the more obvious example, but you have The Weeknd, you have Teddy Afro, you have... Those are mainly outside of Ethiopia as well, but you have so many here. So I'm aware of the greatness of the art. Ida Mulane, Tesfai Urgesa. I've just got back from the Venice Biennale, where I was the first curator of the first Ethiopia pavilion at the greatest contemporary art world expo in the world. And Tesfai's work has been incredible. You've got to see his work. He is a modern master. I shouldn't say that, he's young, but he is. And he's had the Ethiopia Pavilion, which today in the Forbes magazine is in the top 10 of the best exhibitions of the Venice Biennale. So Ethiopia is so rich with artists who will promote Ethiopia around the world because people will look at their art and think, this is incredible. Who is the artist? Where are they from? They are from Ethiopia, and then they start to learn about Ethiopia as well, and Ethiopian art and culture. You know, but it is a modern place with a great history, and that is to be celebrated all of the time.
I love to see that you're very connected and like very knowledgeable about every person that we love, absolutely, in Ethiopia and even other parts of the world. Thank you so much. It was lovely interviewing you.
I must say,
it was an honor.
That I've thoroughly enjoyed this interview.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.